smoker, so I would do my trading breaks. My point is that why did I do all that, and why are you even here in the first place? Okay, why did you decide to show up today? Many of you, this is your second day on the challenge. Some of you said, you know what, let me give this a chance. I really want to learn this stuff, and so that's really my main message for today. My main opening is you have to understand your why, and the why is, if you're just coming to this challenge kind of drifting in, right? And that's really the story for many people in life. Many people in life are just drifting away, like, oh, this thing came in and I'm gonna come in here. I'm thinking about all the great stuff that I'm gonna be able to pass on to my kids. So I want you to just close your eyes for just a moment, and I want you to just think about why you're here right now in the first place. Think about the people that you love. Think about what is it that's gonna help you to make sure that you really give it your all and that you don't let anybody down, including yourself. Okay, so that's kind of my opening today, is to understand your why and to get you to be present with us this morning. And before I transition it to Lee, I just want to say thank you very much for being here. Day one yesterday, Lee went over some of the fundamentals, just learning about NinjaTrader, how to set up a futures trading account. And today, we're going to dive deeper into our daily and weekly market movers. So Lee's really going to get into understanding how we even come up with the different economic news reports that we trade. Okay, so I'm not going to steal Lee's thunder, but I just wanted to welcome the group here, and I'm really pleased with the audience that we have here today. And I urge each and every one of you guys to not give up, to stay with us. You made the commitment to be here. We're almost halfway done, if you could believe it, right? After day 2, there's only a few more days afterwards. So with that, I want to say thank you, and then I want to introduce again our main host for today. I'll hopefully be here every day, but my main course is going to be this Thursday, which I'm really excited about. Oh, one more important announcement on that note is that every single day we'll be meeting at noon. Okay, the only difference at this time, the only difference will be on day 4. On Thursday, we're going to be meeting. Tomorrow, where we're going to be meeting at 2 p.m. Okay, Lee's actually going to be doing a bonus trade room session, which we're going to stream on our YouTube. Okay, tomorrow. It's going to be around the same time. So everything will be in the challenge dashboard. And if you haven't checked that out yet, it's www.5daytlc.com. And I'll be updating Thursday, because originally I had it at 11 a.m., but it's going to be back to 12 p.m. All right, well, hopefully I didn't confuse anybody there, but everything's in the challenge dashboard. So Lee, we had some technical stuff going on. You can hear me. Hopefully I can hear you now. How are you doing today, Lee?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, you should be able to see me in a second.
Okay, I almost didn't come on the camera, but I guess I put the pressure on Lee. There we go. Lee saved the day with this swag. Actually, Lee, I appreciate you rocking the hat, because something that I wanted to actually share with the group is we actually have some surprise giveaways. So I know there's been a lot of hype about the tablets, but I've asked Lee, to basically keep note of who's really engaging with us, and I'm going to be surprising some folks. And what better time right now to get a winter beanie during the it's getting cold out there, so we got some swag, some surprise giveaways. So Lee, I didn't even let you finish. That's how crazy I am today. How you doing today?
I'm ready. We have a lot to do today, so it's a busy class, long one.
Okay, so then I'm only going to use my last minute. No, Lee, I want to thank you so much for guiding our group today. I know you're going to do good stuff, and let me just communicate this, so I'm the bad guy, not Lee. The bad news is that yesterday there was an opportunity to give away a tablet, and sadly we didn't have good participation. And so I'm going to keep things very simple. We love the number 10. I know yesterday maybe it was a little daunting because we asked everyone to do a welcome video. Maybe that's not your cup of tea, right? And also just to post a picture of I think it was NinjaTrader, that you've installed NinjaTrader. Today, I'm going to go ahead and take a look. Actually, let me just address it right now. So for today, our action step, which Lee will get into later on, is going to be to download the JOBB software. okay? Which are, wow. So today is kind of one of the meat and potatoes. For those of you that have access to it, oh, actually, Lee will go over everything. So today, just to be clear, when Lee goes over it, you know, the action item will be to post a picture on our Facebook group showing that you downloaded JV software and to post your why. And as long as we get 10 people to do posting of their JV software and to share your why in our private Facebook group, okay, then I'll be raffling off one tablet today, okay? So Lee, hopefully that was crystal clear. I'm 1 minute over. I want to wish you a great session today, and I'm going to pass it to you. And I want to wish everyone lots of success, and please pay attention to Lee. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Eric. So listen, everyone, I'm going to take my webcam off. It's distracting. You don't want to look at my face. You want to look at charts. So I have a lot to go over today. So first things first, if anyone has any educational questions, anything you want to ask just before we start, feel free. And you can ask a quick question and then I'll get started. We have a lot to cover. We're going to cover a significant amount of the basics today. So, and you know, yesterday we did a little bit extra. We did the WMM, which is the weekly market mover. So everybody knows how to read the weekly schedule, which is easy, okay? I'll just show it. I'll show you our current weekly schedule right now so everybody understands what I'm talking about. The WMM is our weekly market mover. It's our weekly schedule. The weekly schedule tells us what trade trigger, what event we're going to be trading, what day we're going to be in the trade room. The trigger time is the time that the event takes place. So for instance, this morning we were at the trade room when the room opens, 8 o'clock, for an 8:30 event. The name of the event, building permits and housing starts. And sometimes we're there for 2 events. We were also there for Canada's CPI. We write down the instrument that we're going to be trading. Sometimes that can change. Last minute testing can affect that. The risk level of the event, if it is rated. And the third column is whether or not there is a daily market mover, a DMM, okay? The DMM is the daily market mover. That's our daily trade report. That report comes out the day before an event. So for instance, tomorrow, we have consumer confidence. That's the major report that we'll be trading in the trade room. We'll be in the room at 9:30. And I see, you know what? I made a mistake, all right? The trigger time is 10 o'clock, not 8:30. 9:30 will be in the room. The trigger time is 10 o'clock. So, you know, sometimes we make a mistake. We always catch it. So we'll be in the room at 9:30 for consumer confidence. The daily trade reports generally are released between 2 and 4 p.m. the day before. And they are put up on our website and we email them. Now, here's the thing to understand. We cannot guarantee that you're going to receive emails. And we cannot tech support email from ISPs. It's just not possible. It takes too much time and it's not solvable sometimes. Sometimes people just don't get all their emails. That's why we put the DMMs on the website so you can easily download the reports. So DMM, the trade room schedule, and the WMM is always on the website the day. The schedule's up the whole week and the DMMs are up the day before. And they stay up for an extra day also. So just keep that in mind. So let's get right into the DMM today. And so just for an example, we'll go over, let's pull up today's DMM. So everything we do will be current. Now, if you came to the trade room this morning, you'd really understand exactly what we are all about. And we are all about trading the reports that we feel will give us the greatest opportunity for success. That is the key. Now, if you've studied the building permit and housing start the way that we have, you would truly know that it's not a great profit center. Now, ironically, it worked today. It was not a bad trade, but we did not recommend trading it live because over the history of the past year, really, it's even more than what's on the daily report. It has not been a big profit center. It has really not been worth the risk. Now, I will say something in that it's starting to get my attention, though, as behaving a little bit better. If you notice, September has a column, right? October has a column. November has a column. So the DMM, on many of the DMMs, we have a mini journal. And that mini journal goes over how the particular report has been behaving in the past. So let's start at the very top of the daily market mover. Of course, it has the date. Okay, so that was today's daily market mover, which you received yesterday. It has the report that we're trading, building permits and housing starts, the risk level between 1 and 4, the market that we're trading. All right, it's the actual gold market, the gold futures that we were trading on this report. And then it has some spike history. How has the report been moving? Actually, over a couple of years. It goes back sometimes as much as 2 years. How many times there's been peaks? There was a 58 tick move in August of 22. Now, that's really historical data. It's not needed to trade the report. It's really for the folks that want to get more into the details. The most important parts of the DMM are the yellow line, which is our trade setup, our proposed trade setup. And I say proposed because sometimes we will come into the trade room and we'll tell people, you know what? The market is really volatile today. Let's use a little bit bigger stop. It might be wise. Or, hey, you know what? Look at the targets. Our targets, they might be a little small on this trade. Over the past 3 months, we're starting to see this report move more and more. How do we know that? Well, if you look at this journal, this section here, that's a mini journal, and the third column are the spikes. So this report, it spiked 17 ticks in October, 18 ticks in September. Now, if you think about it, that's not a very big move. We have a bracket of 8 ticks. You have to also figure there might be a little bit of slippage. You might have a couple of ticks of slippage if the market's not super volatile, nothing unusual. You'll almost always have a tick or two of slippage. So if you add, let's say you add 2 ticks of slippage to your bracket, that's 10 ticks. So remember what we talked about yesterday. In order for a trade to take place, we have to pierce the bracket, right? So remember, look, here's the current price of an instrument. Here's an order, bracket above. Here's an order, bracket below. The news comes out, maybe the market goes up. It pierces this order here and pulls you into the market. We've got to move 10 ticks, including slippage, before we get our profit. If the market only moved a grand total of 17 ticks, there's not a whole heck of a lot of room available for profit. So that's the history of this report. In August, it moved 11 ticks. There was virtually no profit available. In November, it didn't move. We canceled the trade. So this is a report that if you clearly look at the DMM carefully, it's going to give you a lot of hints into the behavior of that particular event, and it's going to help you determine whether or not you want to take the risk to trade that report. We have a stop of 10 ticks. That means at a minimum, you're risking 10 ticks for every contract that you trade. Gold is $10 per tick. So that's theoretically $100 a tick. The reason I say theoretically is sometimes in a very fast market, maybe the stop will be 13 ticks because it takes a few seconds to get out of the market. Just like sometimes your target could be a little bigger because the market's moving fast and you could make a little bit more profit than expected. Sometimes your stop might be a little bit bigger by the time you get out of the market. So you could lose a little more than you expected. These are things you need to be aware of. You need to understand how the markets work so that you have a real good concept of how to figure where your risk is going to be. In this particular report, we have a bracket of 8 ticks. We activate our trade using our software at 8:29 and 59 seconds Eastern time. Everything we do is Eastern time. We have a cancellation rule. If you don't get pulled into the trade within 45 seconds, you can cancel the trade. And we had 2 targets. So that usually means we're trading 2 positions, 2 contracts. Our first target was 4 ticks, and our second target was 8 ticks, and our stop was 10 ticks. So just because I happen to have it handy, I'll show you what happened on that event this morning. So you could get an idea, you could put into practice what really happened. Let me see, I hope I have it. Yep, got it right here. You can understand exactly what we're talking about. So we create a bracket. So in the trade room, what you're seeing now is actual trade room video. And this is what we do on almost every event that we trade in the trade room. We go in the room, we talk about what we're going to do. If we have a DMM, we discuss the DMM. We show previous videos so people have an idea of what the report's been doing. And then the trade takes place. So I'm going to fast forward to a couple of seconds before the trade. These are my real charts. And we were also trading Canada CPI on the right. But we're looking here on the left. You're going to see a couple of X's show up. Those are the orders. The news came out. You could see it pushed gold to the downside. Gold pierced the bracket and actually hit my first order and would have given you a small profit, $40. And it kept hanging around. It didn't exit the trade. Gold was just chopping around for a few seconds. It looked like the trade was going to end because it looked like it was going to hit our stop, which was moved to a safer position. So some profit would have been protected. And then actually what happened is the price went down and it would have hit the second target. So even though we recommended not trading that report, anyone that did trade that report could have made money. However, we are looking to trade the best behaving reports. And that's what we're teaching. It doesn't mean that people don't trade a lot more reports than we do, but we know trading the best of the best is the best answer to make money, because the way that some of the weak performing reports behave means you're just not going to make enough profit on them to make it worth trading them. So that's a DMM, and that's an example of how you read a DMM. Now, we do have multiple types of trade setups. We couldn't possibly teach every single thing that we do in 5 days. So keep that in mind. There's other types of trades that we have. We have reversal trades that we call a trap trade, and we also have range trades. Those are 3 of our most popular types of trades, and they are shown on the DMM. For instance, this afternoon, we do have an oil trade. That's a range trade. So the DMM is slightly different. A range trade The one we're doing today is based on time. So in other words, we're creating a range in the market based on a number of seconds. And that's our bracket. Instead of having a number of ticks for a bracket, we're creating a bracket with time. So understand that it's a very simple concept. Maybe you like to trade the breakout between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. The market opens at 9:30 in the morning, and then at 10 o'clock, if it bursts up, you might want to trade that, or if it drops down, you might want to trade that move short. We can create a bracket between 9:30 and 10 o'clock and put orders above and below that range, that bracket that was created between 9:30 and 10, and we could trade that range. That's an extremely popular way that people like to trade. We just call it a range trade. You know, you could call it a breakout trade, a breakdown trade, it doesn't matter. We call it a range trade, and a range trade is different than a breakout. With a range trade, we have a time that the range starts, and we have the range time, okay? So the entry, that's when our orders go on the chart. The range start time is when we start calculating the range. So going back to our 9:30 to 10 o'clock idea, the range start time would be 9:30, and then the entry time would be 10 o'clock, or maybe 10 o'clock and 2 seconds, depending exactly when you want to put your orders on the chart. And then we have stops, of course, targets. Many reports have a journal, okay? And then the one thing I left out is we do have text information about the trade. And that's just extra commentary about taking. So that's the DMM. The DMM is sent the day before the event takes place. So that's actually today's DMM that we're getting ready for later. Okay? Any questions? Everybody understand what I'm talking about? Does everybody get the concept? Anybody confused? So Ben's asking, how do you trade based on news reports? So our software puts the orders on the chart prior to the news being released. And when the news is released, the instrument we're trading moves. And if it pierces our bracket or our range, we get entered into the trade. You cannot see the list of attendees because that's the way that GoToWebinar works, Tam. So you're not going to see the list of attendees. I'm sorry. That's the way the software works. Anyway, this is a classroom, so it's not an interactive trade room. Our trade room is interactive, and people can see each other in the trade room. Anyway, any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, so everybody understands the WMM, the weekly schedule, the DMM. How many people have actually downloaded the software? How many people have actually downloaded the software? Okay, a few people have downloaded the software. So let me go over a couple of things. All right, so this is NinjaTrader. These are real live charts. This is the market right now. Right now, looks like oil is up. Looks like the YM is up over 100 points, 160. And just as a refresh, because it's today's action step, one of the action steps, download the software, take a picture, okay, of your desktop. How do you take a picture? Does everybody know how to take a picture? You can use the snipping tool. It's part of Windows. And when you click on the snipping tool, it's in the accessories folder. You can just click the new button. And if you hold down your mouse and just make an outline of your screen, let the mouse up, click the snipping tool once more, and then there's your screen that you were copying. right click it, save as, and now you've got a screen saved wherever you save your files onto your computer. Okay, you give it a name, of course, and you'll have a file and a picture that you could post to Facebook, so we know that you've downloaded the software. Look, if you can't deal with taking a picture, that's fine, but we want people to engage. Let us know you're out there. Let us know you're taking part in the challenge. So go into Facebook. And I know some people don't love Facebook, and that's okay. You will miss out on some of the fun stuff, but you can still take all the classes. It's okay. But go onto Facebook and just post. Let us know you're out there. We want you to engage. A lot of people are already posting. They're posting welcome videos, my welcome video. Langford posted one of the best things I've seen in a long time. He posted a trade that he taught himself to take. Langford's been trading with us for a while, and he understands how to make his own trades, design his own trades. Alan, okay, from Utah, he posted a real nice welcome message. So get involved. It really is a good thing to do. It's fun, and you'll learn from other members. That's why we want people to do this, so you can learn from other people and get involved. And if 10 people post, then we'll raffle off a tablet, okay? Now, when you go on Facebook, see how it says most relevant? If you find that, you can change it to new posts, and you'll see the newest posts first. And all you have to do is write a comment. Hello, I downloaded the software, okay? And that's it. And post it, click the little arrow, bingo, all right? And we'll know you're out there. We'll know you're alive. So do that. And also, the second action step, if you just type in why you're here, okay? Hey, I'm here because I want to learn. So you can do that. Tell us why. Tell us why you're here. Why are you doing this? Do you want to have an extra trading methodology for the new year? Do you want to try to make some money for your retirement? Do you want to have a side hustle? Type in why you're doing this. We would like to know. And maybe it'll help us to help you better, okay? That's the reason we want you to do all of this, all right? So get involved, engage. It's fun, and you'll learn, and you'll meet other traders. There'll be people that are hanging around in our trade room and learning and sharing. It's all part of the game. Okay, so DMMs, we're experts. WMMs, we're experts, okay? Downloading this software, I want to go over it one more time because it's important. Don't forget that you have the dashboard, okay? We've posted and given everybody the dashboard for the challenge yesterday. You'll notice if you look in your handouts, I put in a file, the holiday links, okay? And in the holiday links, don't forget, you've got your dashboard. This document is in a handout that you should be able to see in the webinar. And go to the dashboard, okay? And you can scroll down, JOBB install tips, okay? And if you click on that, it's going to open our document for downloading the software. And we went over this yesterday, so I'll go over it one more time. I'm going to download the software, and I'm going to show you how to use it. So we're going to download the breakout software. And you're going to put the mouse on this link, okay? Click on it, and it's going to give you this stuff in the middle. Ignore it. Just this little right arrow up here. There's a Google Drive file. Just click that little white arrow. That's going to download the file. When you get this square box, download complete. Okay, you can get rid of your document. And now that file should be on your computer. That's what it means that it downloaded. It downloaded onto your computer, okay? Now, the fact that the file is on your computer is going to let you go to NinjaTrader, all right, the control panel. We're going to go to Tools. We're going to go to Import, NinjaScript add-on. It's going to open up a file, a dialog, a download dialog, and the file that I just downloaded happens to be in my download folder. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to get this message. Be careful about viruses, blah, blah, blah. Is it okay to load this? You say, okay. File already exists on your PC. If you're new, you're not going to get that message. If you're downloading a newer version of our software on the computer, you can just say, okay, replace the existing file. If the message says the file on your computer is newer than the file you want to install, always keep the newer file. Just remember that. In this case, would I like to replace the file? Yes. It takes a second. Software is going to install. NinjaTrader says shut down and reboot. I'm going to shut down and reboot. It takes a minute, not even 30 seconds. So let me do that. And now my software is installed. I'm going to reboot my NinjaTrader so that everything loads properly. Two seconds. Here we go. All right, so my NinjaTrader is now loaded. And if you install a strategy or if you install an indicator into NinjaTrader, then all you have to do is right-click any chart, and you'll notice it says indicators or strategies. Our software is a strategy. So to call up the strategy, you're just going to click on the word strategy. And now you'll notice on the left side, there should be a file, JOBB version 10. Now, don't forget, when you install, okay, when you install the software, let me get the sheet. It'll make it easier rather than using the website. Hang on one second. The install sheet. Don't forget that you also have a trap trade strategy to install also. Our software is 2 strategies, okay? And there's also a class on getting started. And it's going to cover everything, almost everything that we cover in the challenge, plus software, okay? Plus software. All right, let me do this. Tam is saying he's having a problem finding the file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this document into your handouts so everybody can try if you want to download the software. Now, keep in mind, obviously, you have to have NinjaTrader to download the software, and you also, to get the software to work, don't forget, you have to send us your machine ID, okay? NinjaTrader has a machine ID. You go to Help in the control panel, click on Help and About, and you'll see a machine ID. What you want to do is copy and paste that machine ID and send it to us so we can activate your software. But please do not take a picture of the machine ID. Send it to us as a text that you put into an email, okay? Because that prevents any errors. We don't want to be retyping machine IDs. It's time consuming and it's prone to errors. Okay, So everybody clear on how to download the software. 2 files get downloaded. Now look, one of the keys to everything we do is our software. Now people always ask us, can I trade the news without using your software? And you know what? You can. You have the DMM, but let me show you why it makes so much sense to use the software. And I mean, we have a system. The system fits together. I spoke about it yesterday. 4 elements make up the system: the weekly schedule, the WMM, the daily market mover to help you get set up, the software to enter the daily market movers, and the trade room to talk about it and to get things going, to help everybody understand about the trade and to actually take the trade. Okay? So it's important to use all those elements together. They all fit. They all fit. So one more time, to call up the software, just right-click your chart, click on strategies, and then double-click the name of the software, JOBB version 10. It'll appear down below under configured. And now these items that you can scroll through, some of those items, and don't be afraid, most of them we're not going to change. Some of those items, we're just going to take the information from the DMM and enter it into the software. That's how the software knows what the bracket is. If you notice, at the very top, there's a trade type, and it says breakout trade. Most of the trades that we take are breakout trades. They have a bracket on the DMM. So you type that bracket in. It's a bracket of 8. We have an activation time. Now, the reason it says X is because maybe you're in California, maybe you're Central Time. So for Eastern Time, the time of the event is clearly on the DMM. It's an 8:30 event. So we're going to activate, obviously, before 8:30, right? Because we're trading news at the time the news is released. We're not usually going to put our orders on after the news, right? We're going to do it most of the time before. And I say most of the time. There are certain types of trades that we have taken after the news. It's possible. But for now, this is going to be 8:29:59. So you type in the activation time, 8:29:59. I mean, setting up the software is pretty much just knowing which items have to be updated, going through and scrolling to make sure what your account is set to. I'll go through the whole thing. And then when you're done, we apply it and okay it. But let's go through the whole thing. So you just installed the software. You just got the DMM. You came into the trade room. So we're telling you right now the trade type is a breakout. So you got that little arrow that goes through the various trade types that we have. We have an activation time. It says activate, 8:29:59. Our bracket is 8. So we're typing in an 8. And now we have position sizes. What does that mean? How many contracts do you want to trade for a certain position? So we have 2 targets, right? A target of 8 and a target of 4. Each target has a position, 1 contract. So position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. If you wanted to trade 2 contracts, position 1 could be a 2 for 2 contracts for the first target. Maybe you want to trade 3 contracts for your second target. You can do that also. For now, we'll just put a 1 in for each. So we have 1 contract for target 1, 1 contract for target 2. The software does support 3 positions. Professional traders demanded that. And our target 1 is 4 ticks. It says it on the DMM. So I'm going to put the number 4 in here. Target 2 is 8 ticks. It says it on the DMM. I'm going to put an 8 in there. And our stop loss ticks is 10. Now, if you hover your mouse over these items, it will display what the item means. So even if you know nothing about the software, by hovering your mouse over the individual items, you can get a really good idea of all the different options there are for trading different types of trades. Not all of these items are necessary. And in fact, very few of them are necessary to do a trade. So we put in our targets, 4 and 8. We put in our stop. And now all you have to do additionally, scroll down. We could skip everything else. Nothing else matters until we get down to account warnings. And we turn our account warnings off. For new traders, if you're trading live, that will give you a message, hey, you're trading live. Is that something you want to do? That's an account warning. And we'll just keep on scrolling down. When you get to the input series and data series, you can check to make sure that the instrument listed in that series there is the same as the chart that we're trading. Right now, we're on YM324. That's what we're trading. However, if we were actually setting up the exact DMM for building permits, we would put the chart on GC224. Okay? Now, you do have to close the screens in order to change your charts. So if you want to change your instrument, you can type in GC0224. Okay, so now we're on the correct instrument to trade this report. We can right-click the chart again, right-click strategies. Now, what I had typed in last is still there. I could save what I type in. That's called saving a template, but we'll get there. So we have a breakout trade. We're activating at 829.59. Our bracket is 8. Our positions, we have one position for each target. So we're trading one position for position 1, a second position for position 2. They're both 1s. Our target 1 is 4 ticks. Target 2 is 8. Stop is 10. And then we're going to scroll and we're going to finish and get ready. We turned off our account warnings. Now you're going to make a decision. Do you want to trade live or sim? If you've got a money funded account, then you could trade live by putting your account on your live account. Otherwise, if you've got a NinjaTrader new account, you can trade sim till you get funded. One other thing that I like to do is there's a label feature. I like to label all my trades. So when I save templates and when I'm trading, I'll show you what happens. When you label a trade, and the way I label it is usually with in the control panel, my trade setup is there. You want to make sure your tab is on strategies, not on orders, not on executions, on strategies. And you can see there's the name is what we labeled. It's called GC. It shows that you're on your sim account. And there's a little box here that says enabled. If we want to trigger the trade, we press the enabled box. If the time has passed, the strategy will trigger immediately. If we're in a trade room and we're waiting for the time of the trade, it will not trigger until we get to that time, okay? And you should be entering into the strategy your local time, okay? You don't have to be on Eastern time. If you're in California, for instance, you know, it's 3 hours before me, but if the trade is triggering in 5 minutes, you can still trigger with your local time. You don't have to change anything. Just use your local time to trigger the trade. Don't use my time and don't use the time of the exchange, okay? So you don't have to change anything about time. Just make sure you enter in the local time if that's when you're trading. In other words, if the trade is 9:30 in the morning and you're in California, you're going to be 6:30. So at 6:25, you're going to enter in the right time, 6:29:59, right? Not 9:29. That's all you have to do. You don't have to change your time, worry about anything. Okay, just type in your local time and it will trigger at the right time. So when you enable the trade, there's a couple of things to remember. We can go back and look at the strategy before you press the enable button. If you press the enable button, you won't be able to see the listings of the strategy. So you don't enable until you're ready to go. That's the last thing that you do. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to double check my setup. My activation time is correct. I'm just going to go through all of the items that I entered, compare them to the DMM and make sure they are correct. And then what I can do, I can save this setup as a template so that I don't have to enter it in every time we do building permits and housing starts. So I go to template, I type save, and then where it says my template, I just start typing BLDG for building permits. You could call it whatever you want. Building permits, what I recommend is that you date all your templates. That way, you'll always remember, because sometimes we don't trade it again for a month. You're not going to remember how you traded it. Date it so you can pull up your most recent template, okay? So 12/19/23 is today. And then I'm going to save it. And I'll have a template called building permits. And I know, yes, if I had an existing template, go over it. You know the routine with normal Windows stuff. But now, if I come into the trade room for the first time that day and I don't have a strategy on the control panel, right? Right now we have a strategy on the control panel because we put it there. If I right click it, I can remove it. So we just got here, right? We just got here. We put our chart on gold. We got the DMM. You're in the trade room. We put our chart on gold. We right click the chart on strategies. Double click JOBB version 10. Go right to template. Load. And then go look for your building permits from last month, if you did one, right? Building permits, dated today, double click it. Bingo. I don't have to re-enter it. It's already there. Double check it. It's a breakout. The time is right. The orders, apply it. Okay it. Now, when I enable a trade, if the time has already passed, the trade will trigger. Remember, this was an 8:30 trade. This trade's going to trigger. Time has already passed. As soon as gold calculates, it'll put the brackets on the chart. There's our orders. Those are real orders. I want to cancel this. I can uncheck the enabled box. Okay? Or I could have canceled it by unchecking the X on the orders. And now my trade is checked, but don't forget to uncheck the enabled box. Okay? So now everybody knows how to do a breakout trade. That's how you do a breakout trade. What if you want to design your own breakout trade? Last night, Langford did something great that shows everybody why this is such a powerful system to learn. Langford designed his own trade. he noticed, remember we talked about the calendars, right? We talked about the calendars and we talked about finding trades on the calendars. And I'll even go into that a little more today also. In fact, let's do that. So how do we find our trades? Yesterday we talked about going through the calendars. The gold standard for us in calendars is forexfactory.com. When you load forexfactory.com, click the word calendar. Okay? Now you get the whole week of events. So Langford's been trading with us for a while, and Langford's a smart guy. Langford noticed last night the Bank of Japan had a monetary policy statement, and he designed a trade around the time that that report was being released. And he was able to make money using our software in advance of that news being released. With the calendars have different ways of showing you what events are probably going to move the market. I say probably because the calendars don't always get it right. And that's why a lot of people join our group, because we know the instruments and we know the events that are going to move the markets. We don't know everything, but we know so many of them through our experience. The way that Forex Factory works is they have an impact column. Orange is medium impact, red is high impact, yellow is low impact. The higher the impact, the more of a probability a market's going to move, the more of a probability that that's going to be a tradable event. The calendars that we like are forexfactory.com, and you can go through the dates. You can go into the future by using their little arrows up here. You can go back in the past, okay? You can click the file folder. For instance, on this morning's building permits, you can click the file folder, and it'll give you something great. Previous dates of the report. So you could look and see what the results were on previous dates. Or you could click on a previous date and uncheck that little X and see what was going on in the market that day. Maybe there's reports you want to test. So you want to find the reports that you want to test and the dates that they traded. We test lots and lots of reports because that's the way we figure out how we're going to set up a trade. How does that event perform? How does it behave? Does it shoot in one direction? Does it reverse all the time? That's going to help us determine the type of event, the type of trade setup we will use. We have breakouts. Remember, we have range trades, and we also have trap trades. A trap trade is a specialized reversal trade that we take. Okay? There's another calendar that we love. We love investing.com. Investing.com helps us during trades. Investing.com, when you load it up, hover over the word news, click economic calendar. Right in the middle of the page, you can choose this week or next week, and you can configure their calendar for different dates. So if we choose this week, we will see all of the events for this week. Now, they have a different way that they show impact. They show impact with this little star system. 1 star is low impact, 2 stars is medium impact, 3 stars is high impact, okay? So you can scroll through. If you're a smart trader and you think that we don't trade enough, you could find extra trades. Maybe you live overseas in England. You want to trade British CPI to 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. No one says you can't set up a trade. maybe that'll move the British pound, the currency futures. Okay. You will notice 10 o'clock on Wednesday, CB consumer confidence, 3 stars. We'll be in the trade room trading it. Okay. That's a high impact report. There's something great about investing.com. During a news event, if you notice up here, it says previous, forecast, actual. Why do these trades work? Why does this whole system do what it does? It does what it does because for all of the news, whether it's earnings or jobs reports or Fed statements, all the news has an expected result. When that expected result is different from the actual result, that causes a move in the markets. That's why these trades work. So you'll notice there's the forecast, there's the actual results. What's really cool about investing.com is during a trade, very often, I say very often because sometimes it just doesn't show up, but most of the time, for instance, if we're trading the crude oil inventory report and they're expecting 10 million barrels of oil, it'll show us what the actual result is, and that can affect the price of oil to help us decide if we want to stay in the trade or if we want to get out of the trade. So what we do is we actually shrink down. I shrink down investing.com. And for instance, if I was going to trade Spanish consumer confidence or anything, if I was going to trade the US current account or consumer confidence, I would just shrink this chart in a way that I could configure it so it's on my screen, integrated within my regular trading charts, so I can see the news as it comes out. And I can watch the news on investing.com while we're trading. And that often helps us to trade. Okay. So the calendars are very important in finding the trades. The higher the impact in general, those are the trades that are going to move the markets. Okay. Any questions? Everybody understand everything so far? Any questions? So why does everything work? We find the events, we find them on the calendars, we study the event, we video record them when we start trading them, and we start analyzing the event, and that's how we come up with the setup. Everything is based on the reaction, not the actual news itself. It's not whether there's a lot of something or a little bit of something. We don't even care what the news is going to be. We only care that an event responds consistently each time that event takes place. So for instance, the US jobs report, it doesn't matter to us if there's a lot of jobs or few jobs. It just doesn't matter. What does matter is, how does that report move the market that we're trading? And if it moves the market in a tradable way, more often than it doesn't, we're going to set up a trade. So that's a monthly report. So maybe 4 out of 6 of those reports give us a very nice, profitable report. Okay. All right. So Lawrence is asking, where does he put the download? So Lawrence, after you download the file, you go to Tools, Import, NinjaScript add-on, and you have to find the file you downloaded and then highlight it, double click it, and Ninja will start to install it. Okay. Okay, Joseph asks a good question. How do you decide what instrument to use to trade the report? So Joseph, it's all about analysis. Everything that we do is about analysis. There's certain instruments that just always move. I don't want to use the word always, often move. during news. If you're trading British news, we're going to look at the British currency futures and gold and the euro. It's just, there's logical instruments that make sense. US news, gold moves, bonds sometimes move, and sometimes the yen moves, and sometimes the euro moves. From our experience, we just have learned which instruments are the best to trade. Initially, if you're trading US news, try to study a US instrument, such as maybe the ES, maybe the NQ, maybe gold futures, maybe the 30-year or the 15-year bond. If you're trading a European report, a Eurozone report, then try the euro. If you're trading Japanese news like Langford did last night, he used the Japanese yen, 6J. All countries have different instruments that relate to their country. Almost every zone has a currency future. The euro is 6E. The Japanese yen is 6J, meaning 6J can actually be put on a chart by knowing what the chart symbol is. 6J0324 is the Japanese currency future. So if you see a very, very, very important Japanese news report on a calendar and you want to set up a trade, you could experiment with the Japanese yen. You could just watch it. I mean, we started out by just watching dozens and dozens of reports. In the very beginning, what's really fascinating about this company is before I was here, when my boss invented this software, every trade worked on oil. It's incredible to imagine it. Every news event moved oil, and it was the only instrument he traded in the very beginning. And over time, and especially, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bragging, I'm not taking credit for this. When I got here, the markets were changing though. And I noticed that there were a lot of instruments that were moving on different reports. And I brought that to my boss's attention when I started doing an astronomical amount of testing. And he was open to my suggestions. And as time went on, we added more and more different instruments to trade the news, the various reports. Sometimes one of the hardest things to decide is what instrument to trade. It's not always cut and dry. And that's part of the challenge too, is finding the best instruments to trade. All right, so calendars, we covered. Downloading the software, we covered. Entering a breakout trade, okay, we covered. Let me show you how to set up your charts exactly like mine, all right? So let's say you're kind of new on NinjaTrader. Basically, when you first start up NinjaTrader, I'm pretty sure these days it starts up with nothing except the control panel, okay? So what you would do is go to New, up on the control panel, go to New Chart, and then up at the very top, it has room for an instrument. It's asking you what instrument, and there's a few instruments built in to NinjaTrader when you start. So you could type in, for instance, the YM, because that's what I had before, so it'll be in the list. You'll probably have the ES and the NQ in that list. So you choose an instrument for a chart. Then it will give you this dialog, which you can basically leave on default. Its value is a 1-minute chart by default, which we like, okay? 5 days of data to load, which we like. You don't want to make it 100 because it slows down NinjaTrader. And another important element on this default chart dialog is the trading hours template. If you leave it on the default, which is use instrument settings, then pivots, highs and lows of the day will calculate from 6 p.m. the previous evening when the futures markets open. So basically, when you start up NinjaTrader, you go to New, Chart, you get your blank chart, you choose an instrument, click it. You could just say OK to the default, okay? And it will create a chart. Now mine just happens to show up on my other monitor, so that's why I'm bringing it over. And now I have a chart, okay? Now I happen to know this is not the right instrument, and that's because I was looking at an older YM chart. The current instrument today is YM 0324. Now, here's a little trick. Here's a little trick. Let's say by accident you have a chart that loads, it looks kind of weird, doesn't look right. Like YM 1223, this chart doesn't really look right for trading. You know, it's got all these spaces and weird stuff on the chart. It really is not right. So maybe you want to try and figure out what the correct instrument is. And you don't know what the instrument is, but you know the prefix. You know it's YM, or you know it's ES, or you know it's NQ. So with NinjaTrader, you could just put your cursor on the chart and type, let's say, NQ, and then look down below for the future. NQ, double click it. The micro is there also. It's not a stock. We trade futures. Double click NQ, and it actually puts the right instrument on the chart. 324 is the correct instrument. Okay. So now look, normal Windows stuff. You hold down your mouse and you can spread the chart so it's a little bit wider. Okay. There's a couple of things that I like to do. First of all, if you notice, the chart is a little bit too close to the right margin. So I right click the chart, I go down to properties, and right side margin, I make 50. I mean, you could make it 100. 50 is fine. See how it moves away from that right side margin? So it's easier to read. It's easier to deal with. Okay. Now for trading the news, we use very, very few indicators because we're trading the markets when the news is being released. We don't need a lot of indicators. Most of them, they're not going to keep up with news trading anyway, because we're trading at the moment the news is released. We're not trend trading. We're not using Fibonacci analysis, okay? We're essentially using some very powerful but simple support and resistance. So the first thing I put on my chart is I right click, I click on indicators, and I put in current OHL, current open high, current day open high low. Double click it. It's now configured. I don't have to do anything. The high of the day is green. The low of the day is red. The market open is gold. I can OK it. And now on my chart, I have that pivot. Those pivots are being calculated from 6 p.m. the evening before. Okay. The other important indicator that I use is right click, click on indicators. I love the pivots. NinjaTrader, these are all free. NinjaTrader, these are all built into NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader pivots, just go to P, double click on pivots. Pivots are loaded. You've got PP, R1, R2, and R3, S1, S2, and S3. Colors are configured fine for light charts. Apply it and OK it. Now my pivots are also on the charts. I like highs and lows. I like pivots. And we also use one more important indicator. We use the VWAP. The VWAP is a volume weighted average price. It's why do pivots and indicators work? Because lots of people look at them. That's why Fibonacci's work. That's why Ichimoku clouds work, because a lot of people look at them. And a lot of people see similar things. So they put their orders in similar places. So similar things happen at certain places on the chart. And that's how a pivot is born. Okay. But there's a million of them. And most of the time they're lagging. They don't keep up with the news anyway. But they're useful right after the trade, and sometimes right before. So there's important ones that we consider important that we use. Now, the VWAP is only free if you're a lifetime NinjaTrader subscriber. However, I have a free VWAP for everybody, and I will give it to you in a second, but let me show you how I set up the VWAP. Right-click, indicators. Now you scroll down. If you're a lifetime Ninja member, you'll see order flow VWAP. Okay, it's an order flow indicator. I double click it so it shows up down below under configured. And all I do is scroll down on the right to the standard DEV bands, standard deviation bands, and I just make it none. None. And now my VWAP, I apply it and okay it. My VWAP shows up as a line, and it's just like a pivot. Above the VWAP might be construed as bullish. Below the VWAP might be construed as bearish. All depends on the way you use it, but that's a simple explanation of the VWAP. Those are the indicators. That's what I put on my chart. You can't forget, though, how do you place an order? What if you don't have our strategy installed? I can't place an order on this chart because I forgot something. Up here in the icons is the chart trader. Turn it on, chart trader. Boom. Now I can trade. I can enter a trade. I can change my account to sim or live. I can buy the market, sell the market. Okay. Don't forget your chart trader. That allows you to trade. The other thing we like to do is set up another chart exactly like that one. I put it next to that chart. Now, I'm not going to set another one up. I'm just going to put my chart up. So now I have two charts. I could have two separate strategies, two setups to the same news using a different instrument. So that, or I could trade two different reports at the same time. So that's very useful. All right, and I set that chart up the same way. I happen to like the squeeze indicator. The squeeze indicator is not free. They're very inexpensive. They're all over the market. Some people have found free ones, but because it's not free, we're not making it part of the challenge right now. But I happen to like it. It's an indicator that is very useful. When I was taught to trade futures, it was one of the indicators we always used. I do like the squeeze, but it's not required at all for what we do. I did say that I would give everyone a free VWAP. NinjaTrader has a free VWAP with instructions. Let me give you the link. I'll post it for everybody in the chat. It's for NinjaTrader 8, and I highly recommend that if you're going to trade anything, the VWAP is a really useful indicator. And I'm posting it. Bingo, it's in the chat so everybody could save it and use it. Okay, so there's a free VWAP for everyone. Now, a couple other tools that we have. And if you remember, don't forget, we have our dashboard, right? Don't forget the dashboard, because on the dashboard, there's a couple of tools that you'll like, and they're free, and they help us with our trading. If you scroll down to the tools, click on the PDF and the calendars, okay? 3 calendars that I use: Financial Juice, investing.com, Forex Factory. The VWAP indicator is there also. Okay, we put that on there. Very important for us is we need our computer to be in sync. Okay, we need our computer to be in sync. So what does that mean? Think about it. We're trading on time, right? We're trading based on time, and sometimes we're trading down to the second. You want your computer to be in sync. These 2 free programs, you just download them and install them, and they look like this when you run them. They will put your computer in sync, and it looks like this. The program will show up. It'll have a sync button, and you'll press the sync button. I usually press it like 10, 15 times in a row. There's a line called synchronized that will change, and that will put your computer in sync. We go to a website called Time Is. When we go to that website, it checks your computer to see if it's in sync. It's free. You just go there. Time Is. Just for fun, if you Google it, time.is, watch what happens. If you click on the name of the website, the first listing, it tells you if your computer's in sync. Should your computer not be in sync, okay? Should your computer not be in sync, then you can use our sync program to put yourself in sync. You press the sync button, make sure the synchronized line changes, and it puts you in sync. Then go back to Time Is and check that you're in sync, okay? So that's a free tool. My other absolute could not live without free tool is Topmost Clock. Topmost Clock we use all the time, never ending, okay? Now, somebody told me that they didn't like, they had a virus issue with the link. So give me a second and let me post what I know to be a very safe, because I was just giving a general internet link for it, but I have a safer link, and I will post it in the chat for everybody. So you can download Topmost Clock. It's not required just for news trading. It can be used for any trading. It could be used for anything. It's just a little widget, okay? And it moves around. If you put your mouse dead center in the clock, you can move it around. It's so handy for trading. I can't think of anything more important almost than that simple little clock. It's really, really important to us, okay? Those are some really, really useful free tools that we use to help us when we're trading. So you can see now we've got a multitude, a simple multitude of a couple of indicators, a couple of pivots. Your prices are on there, okay? Your chart trader is on there. You're ready to go. You're ready to trade. You already know how to do the breakout trade. You're already starting to be a news trader. You know how to look through the calendar, right? Go to forexfactory.com. So what's the procedure? You wake up in the morning. Why not check your calendar, right? First things first, go look at your calendar. Now, I do like Financial Juice Pro. They have a lot of real-time things on their website. If you're willing to spend some money, their pro version of their website is excellent. Their news updates, they have controllable news that you can configure, and they have a squawk box. You can listen to news in your headset. Very, very good website. If you want free, Forex Factory is awesome. You get up in the morning, check the news. What's going on? What was the British news that happened overnight? Maybe there's British retail news. You can tell if it's bad or good by looking at the numbers. What was the Canada CPI in the morning? You can tell usually by looking at the numbers. So get into the habit of checking your calendars, because in the beginning, you're not going to know enough immediately to design your own trades, but you'll learn enough to start looking at the calendars, getting a feel for what's doing with the news overnight. I would recommend that you listen to, CNBC all day long. Don't trade off of it because it's delayed. Any news that you hear on CNBC, our trade's going to be over. We trade earnings. By the time they announce earnings on CNBC, our trade is over, okay? So keep in mind, you want tools that are immediate. Investing.com, remember, they have some nice immediate tools. Investing.com, hover over the word news, click economic calendar, scroll down and click this week or next week if you want to see what's doing next week. You get your full week of events and you could see what's going on in the world. It's very important if you want to trade the way that we trade. You want to start becoming a news maven, right? You want to become a news maven. All right, listen, that's a lot for one day. That is a lot for one day. Tomorrow, I'll show everybody the trap trade. So anybody have any questions? What is the functional adjust on the chart trader? The adjust button, Joseph, is part of our software. We have a button that adjusts the bracket. If we're trading certain types of reports and we want to recenter the bracket before the trade gets filled, that's what it does, okay? It'll recenter the bracket. Any other questions? Anybody else? Okay, I don't see anybody else. Tomorrow, Joseph, you're going to have to look on, Ninja Trader has a free forum. They do have a momentum indicator that they call their momentum indicator, but otherwise, squeezes, unfortunately, aren't free. So, if you send me an email, I can tell you some places where you can get it. But there's one momentum indicator that's decent, but generally I would pay a few dollars for a good squeeze indicator if you want to watch the squeeze. I like the squeeze. It's just an indicator I like. But remember, I'm not using it while we're trading the news. Sometimes we'll use it after, but while we're trading most of our events, we're not using the squeeze, okay? To what email address do we send the machine ID? So let me type in the email. It's the same email for everything. If you need help, help at 10minutetrades.com. That's our main email. If you have any questions or you forgot to ask something today, okay, you can send us a message there. That's where you send your machine ID, okay? So I think I've got every single question. I don't see any questions that we've missed. So what did Eric say? Tomorrow's Wednesday. Let me just look at something. Let me take a quick look at our schedule. What was our schedule for tomorrow? Who remembers? I forgot what our schedule was tomorrow. Let's take a quick look. So I'm using the dashboard, right? I'm going to the dashboard to grab the schedule. And our schedule's down here: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it looks like, I think Eric changed Wednesday, so I'll tell you what to do, everybody. Let me double check. Let me look somewhere. We changed Wednesday. I believe we're back at 12 o'clock tomorrow. We're back at 12 o'clock tomorrow. So give me 1 second and I'll check go to webinar so nobody gets screwed up. And who else has a question? Anyone else? Someone's asking, do we trade micros or the regular size contracts? We trade both. We do trade micros. Micros are really good if you don't have as much money to open a cash account. You can trade micros. They require less margin. Okay, so I'm seeing 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Just if there's any change, just keep an eye out on Facebook and keep an eye on your email for tomorrow's class, okay? Just to be sure about the start time. I have this funny feeling that we were changing the time and now my notes are a mess. I can't tell. So I don't want to give out the wrong time. Make sure you check your email. It'll be 100% in the email. Any other questions before we go? I want to thank everybody for staying. I don't think anybody left. So thank you very much. It's you know, an hour and a half straight class, no break. That's a lot. That's a lot. And we still have a lot to cover tomorrow. We'll have just as much good info tomorrow as well. Okay. So I'll see everybody. I don't see any more questions. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. And regular members, I'll see you all later for our trades. Okay, folks. See you soon. Take care.